Good morning and welcome to Breaking Burnout for Nurses podcast. I'm Bonnie Kitahata. I'm your host today. And so sometimes we want to get away from bedside nursing. And so today I have an alternative option for you to consider. My guest today is Christy Page. She's a legal nurse consultant. So she's going to share a little bit about her legal nurse consulting and maybe share about how we can get into that also. Hello, Christy.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your nursing career before you became a legal nurse consultant.
Sure. I worked at a local hospital at the clinical bedside for about 33 years. That's where I started my nursing career after I graduated as an associate degree nurse and worked in several different areas of the hospital. You get tired of one area, and that's the beauty of being at one hospital. You can swap different areas. I did med-surg for the most of my career, but I also did a few years in labor and delivery, some in the peri-op area, just finding what I liked, but then I always went back to the med-surg. That was always my greatest interest. So at the bedside for quite a few years.
Okay. So you were there 30 years, you said, at the bedside? Or
About 33.
Okay. So you have a broad view of nursing in the hospital. So tell us how you decided to go into legal nurse consulting. I mean, how did you even learn about it?
Well, it's kind of funny, Bonnie. At one point in my hospital career, I got subpoenaed for a deposition in a case. It is very scary, but it ended up being the turning point for me with my legal nursing. When I met the attorney, she prepped me. We went in, we talked to the other side. It was about this case. And my name just happened to be on one of the care dates for this person. So they asked me some questions, and it really was not near as scary as I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, the attorney said, "Hey, have you ever thought about like being a nurse expert?" And I said, "Oh, no, I haven't, but tell me a little bit more." And so she told me a little bit, more about what it involves. And she said, "You don't have to have any formal training. You don't have to, do anything special for this, but your attorney will guide you." And I said, "Oh, okay, I'll think about that." And at some point after that, I always kept thinking about the legal aspect. I was very curious, and I liked it. And then out of the blue, I got this postcard from Legal Nurse Consulting, like, come up. I live by Boston, and it was like, come up to Boston. We're having an info session on this day and learn all about it. And it was meant to be. That particular week, I was working full time, but that was my one day off. So I drove up.
That was a sign.
That was it. I drove up, I learned about it, and I signed up for the 1 week in Philadelphia, intensive training course for the certification. And the rest is kind of history.
So before that point, you hadn't really thought about legal nurse consulting until that deposition. It kind of tickled your mind, right?
Exactly. Well, and I think like many nurses, you're in this for a long time. And sometimes it's boredom. Sometimes it's stress.
Yes.
I worked in one department, and I remember thinking, the girls in this department, they're running around and they're like, "Oh, it's so busy. We're so stressed. It's so difficult." And I thought to myself, "Honey, you need to come spend some time on the med-surg floor, because this is a piece of cake." And I was bored. And so I didn't stay there. So it's all relative, I guess. But, you want to change. You want to be challenged. And then sometimes the stress of hospital, and with COVID, that put a lot of people over the top. And you want to do something different, but use the knowledge you have.
So now, did you always work full time at the bedside type nursing?
Between 24 and 36 hours, pretty much.
And you always work day shift?
I worked 3 to 11 for a long time.
Okay.
I did very short stint at nights. God love the women and men who can do nights, because boy,
Yeah.
that's just not for me. And then mostly day shift, because I went up in rank and we were unionized. And so I became, it was a clinical coordinator, like a charge nurse. So it was a 7A to 7P, 12-hour job.
So okay, you got invited to this legal nurse consulting. Was that the training that you went to, or was that just an introduction to this is what we have for you?
So it was just one of those marketing postcards, I think, that
Okay.
got sent out to everybody in Massachusetts, I'm guessing,
Oh,
or
okay.
or close by.
Was that the company that you worked with for the deposition?
No,
Oh,
it was one of these main legal nurse training platforms that are out there. It just was a
Okay.
marketing for one of them. And honestly, I didn't know of any others. And I
Mhm.
got this and went, hey, it was divine intervention. And it just all fell into place for me at the time. It worked out.
So perfect timing. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what exactly does a legal nurse consultant do? Because it sounds like the one you first worked with at the deposition put you at ease and the fear out of it. She made you feel comfortable. And going into deposition, it's like, oh, I'm going to have to go to court and all this. And it's, I would think it'd be a little nerve-wracking if you don't understand it. So what did the legal nurse consultant do exactly for you?
So as far as legal nurse consulting, when I went up and listened to the marketing about learn how to do this, how to get it, it's a certification course. And legal nurses, they work with attorneys on a variety of cases, and they give them the medical nursing insight to the case, and the attorney uses their legal insight. So it's a collaboration. For instance, I mean, and there are so many different types of legal nursing to do, same as there is different types of nursing to do.
Okay.
And so you can pick, again, your expertise. What area do you like doing? I happen to do hospital cases because I'm very familiar with them. I do nursing home cases, falls, and sepsis. That's my expertise arena. But there are mass torts, there's personal injury, there's trucking injuries, it even labor and delivery. So just about every area of nursing has their area of medical cases.
So you're always working with an attorney, like a partner in a way?
Collaborating with them. Right.
Collaborating.
And it's right, because the attorney is the one that has the case, right? The loved one feels like somehow there's been something wrong done to them or a loved one. They go to an attorney, they tell them about their case, then the attorney reaches out or is collaborating with a legal nurse, and they reach out and say, hey, I've got this case, John Smith, here's the case issue. And then I review the medical records. And the first part of it that we do, it's telling the attorney, do you have a case? Do we see this as a case, some unfortunate event that has merit, meaning was the standard of care breached, or was everything done as it was supposed to and it was an unfortunate outcome? That's really the biggest takeaway for the attorneys in the collaboration with us, is that we help them to avoid those cases that really maybe aren't a strong case or aren't a case at all.
Now, is all your work in person, or can you do it online? Like some of the consulting online, or do you have to go to court when you're working with the attorney?
So I have not, it depends on the level of the legal nurse that you're doing. So a legal nurse consultant can be a behind the scenes consultant or can be an expert, right? So if you're a behind the scenes nurse consultant, the beauty of internet, I work with attorneys from California to Massachusetts and everywhere in between.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, because you've got Zoom, you've got the internet.
Yes.
You got the phone, so you can collaborate with them and talk with them. So as a legal nurse consultant, I am behind the scenes. I am not discoverable. My information that I give to my attorney clients, they don't have to share with the other side. Now you've got two sides, plaintiff and defense. I do my work with the plaintiff. So it's the other side can't see what I give my attorneys. Now, if you are a legal nurse consultant expert, you are giving your expert opinion based on the case. Everything that you write, that you look at for that case is discoverable. So it's very, very important as a legal nurse consultant to know which arena you are playing in. Okay. Because if you don't, you can get yourself into some hot water.
So what exactly is discoverable mean?
So if I write like a merit review for my attorney, or I write a report with failures, analysis, my opinions, it's not discoverable, meaning my plaintiff attorneys don't have to tell the defense that they have this report.
Because so they don't really know about, the other side won't know about you at all.
No, and each side has their own, right? So each side, when you have this case, you reach out to other experts to help you with your case, to give you the facts, to give you details. How am I going to argue this? What's my theory and argument? What are my strong points? What are my weaknesses? Both sides do it. And that's how a good attorney prepares for their case. And you want your attorney to do that if it's your case. So, but as a behind the scenes legal nurse, everything I do for my attorney is helping them with the case. So they don't have to share that with the other side. So that's what it means by not discoverable. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty, that's pretty exciting.
You get a lot of legal learning, which is good. And that is one thing I always tell nurses that are going into this. That first attorney who said to me, "Oh, you don't need any training. You don't have to do any formal training." A lot of attorneys will say that. But to me, knowledge is power. And what you don't know what you don't know, right? You got to go out and learn it, because if you don't, you'll get caught with your pants down, and that's no fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back a little bit about how the training goes. How do you get into training? How long is the training? How much is the training? Or do they just say, you will train you if you work for us for 20 years or something like that? So how do you find out where to go to get training?
Since I've become a legal nurse, I've learned there are, I want to say, maybe a half a dozen different companies or platforms out there that variety of cost and a variety of knowledge that you get out of them that will teach you how to be a legal nurse consultant. And so it's important to do your homework. I went into mine. I just picked the first one that I saw. I didn't even know there were others. And I was very fortunate. I feel like I got a very good training. But I would say, you have to Google it, and you'll come up with the big platforms, the big names.
And about how long was your training?
So the training that I did, it was 1 week, 40 hours. I flew out to Philadelphia, stayed in a hotel room. It was 8 to 5 every day in a big conference room with everybody else who was learning. And then you had a test at the end for your certification. So to me, that was the best way for me to do it. They do have an online way to do it, so if you don't have the luxury of taking a week off or, spending the money to go and do that. For me, that's more difficult. And it's funny to say, I did my bachelor's and my master's online. So I was disciplined enough to do it, but it is difficult, to be dedicated, pay for it, and then go in there and do it, and then graduate per se. There's both options. I don't know if there's the option to go to a conference like I did anymore. It might just be available online. I'm not sure.
Wow, that's so exciting. And it kind of almost dropped in your lap, the timing and everything, to even learn about what is legal nurse consulting. So that led to your new pathway. Now, so how long have you been a legal nurse consultant now?
So I started as a legal nurse, let's say it was 2016. It was the summer of 2016 in the program that I did. And in the different programs that are out there, one of the things I would highly suggest is look at the length of the training you get and what you get afterwards.
Right.
As far as mentoring, and in the program that I did, it was this week of intensive A to Z, and you come out as a novice. You're right back at the beginning again, just like when you graduated as a nurse, whatever level that was at. And now you know a little bit about a whole bunch of different areas, but you now have to learn and dig your heels into the area that you want to learn about. And I often tell nurses, if you work on med-surg, you can't just go and work in labor and delivery or the OR. You have to go and you kind of learn, and then you train and you learn more and you get mentors. And it's exactly the same way as a legal nurse. You have to have that. And anybody tries to tell you you don't, I think you're doing yourself a big disservice if you don't. Some of the programs hook you up with mentors, which I think is awesome. I didn't happen to have any. Mine was all kind of learning on the fly. And again, I feel very blessed. I made my way through and found my own mentors.
So was it easy for you to get your first position as a legal nurse consultant?
Oh, no. Oh, no. And some of these courses, if they tell you, they do a very good sell, I should say. And I was just taking that whole cell in. There's so many attorneys, there's plenty of cases to go around, which is true. But to connect with that attorney, the very first thing is you've got to learn how to market yourself. And as a nurse, we know how to take care of people. You have no idea how to do business or how to market yourself. So it's not easy. I will say it's not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of perseverance. And those who keep up with it usually do well. You will get a hit. It's numbers. It's marketing and putting yourself out there. And it's the theory of numbers. If you keep calling, you will eventually get a hit. And that's, the attorney says, I'd like to work with you. And then you're like, all right, let's go.
Sounds excellent. Well, so we're running out of time here for this podcast episode, but I am excited to learn about your own legal nurse consultant business. I look forward to interviewing you for that episode. And so now we're going to sign off. Gosh, it's more intriguing, the more you hear about it. So we'll go to another part. We'll go to a part 2 with you. All right. So we'll go ahead and say goodbye for this episode, but stay tuned for part 2 with Christy Page, Legal Nurse Consulting. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And visit my website at breakingburnout.com. And you'll find a blog post about Christy Page and her legal nurse consulting, and also her social media links so that you can keep in contact with her. All right.
Thank you.